Welcome back to Higher Self Mastery. I'm your host, Erika. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, today I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite things to talk about, which is inner child healing or the inner child. And so, the inner child is not just a concept. We're not talking about some concept that's outside of you. The inner child is a very real part of you that is still alive today. And so, do you remember in the previous episode how I was talking about only 1 to 3% on average of everything that we do comes from our conscious mind, stems from our conscious mind, and 95 to 97% of everything we do, our thoughts, our behaviors, stem from our subconscious mind? Well, the adult that we are today represents the conscious mind, our rationale, introspection, right from wrong, our will, our intellect, right? Well, the child who lives in the subconscious mind represents emotion and sensitivity, represents play and connection and intimacy. The child represents imagination, creativity. And so it's very important to be in touch with our inner child and to discover whether or not our inner child is wounded. And if so, take the necessary steps and actions to heal our inner child and integrate our inner child. Because if not, to the extent that you're connected to your inner child is to the extent that you could be silly and you could be playful and you could be open-hearted, and you could connect with others. Do you understand how important this is? And so I mentioned in the previous episode that when we're triggered, in the last episode, if you didn't hear it, go and hear it. It's a very powerful episode talking about triggers and fears, the keys to our liberation. And in that episode, I'm describing an exercise that I do with my clients called the thought behind the thought process, which is where we go from the conscious mind and we go to the thought behind the thought behind the thought until we're able to access the subconscious mind, right? And so when we're triggered, this triggers me because, and that bothers me because, and that bothers me because. And then when we get to the last thought that we could possibly get to, we'll notice there's a fear. And beneath that fear, there's a wound. And beneath that wound is a wounded child. And so the reason why we go from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind, remember that the child lives in the subconscious mind. So we don't want to heal on a surface level. Inner child healing, the reason why I'm so big on it and I teach it so much, it's because it's plucking out the root. It's not just the surface level coping, like they say in therapy. It's not coping. It's healing so that you don't have to cope. And so let's get into what inner child healing is and how do we do it. So inner child healing is when we become aware there are wounds within us that stem from our childhood. And we become aware that there's a wounded child within us. And the first thing that we need to do to access this is to begin to, one, become aware that there is an inner child within you, a child within you still today. Most people are not aware of that. And two, begin to reconnect with the child. So the way that we do this, when I first start working with a client on inner child healing, I'll have them find a picture of themselves between the age of 2 and 7 years old. And I'll have them start to connect to that child, to speak to the child, to put that picture on their nightstand or make it the screenshot homepage or whatever, and really start to like see themselves again, see the child again, right? And then one of the first things that we do, so like let's say that I had a client one time that was going through a very difficult situation with his wife, where his wife left him for another man, and she was going to Orlando or something with him. And my client was distraught and he wanted her back. And he, was calling her and texting her and like just really desperate to get her back, very afraid of losing her to this other guy. And so what we did here was I had him close his eyes, take a deep breath, and connect to the child that was within him. And so you can try this with me now. You can gently close your eyes if it's possible for you. If not, just come back to this later at home or in your car when you can do this. You close your eyes and then you imagine yourself, you picture yourself between the age of 2 and 7. Maybe you could recall a home video that you saw yourself in or a picture of yourself that you've seen of yourself as a child. And let the image of you as a child get stronger and more vivid in your mind, in your mind's eye. And then I want you to make out what the child is wearing, the facial features of the child. And then notice what they're doing. Are they hiding? Are they sad? How is their body language? Are they happy to see you, or are they afraid of you, or are they sad and disconnected? And just notice. So I'll connect with mine now. Okay, so mine right now, she's very sad. Okay. So then I can see her kind of frowning, looking down at the floor. And so I move closer to her very gently, very softly, so that I don't startle her or push her away. So I'm envisioning now that I'm like reaching out my hand to her to see if she will take it. And she doesn't want to take it. Okay. And you can start, it's fascinating because see, now I want to cry because she's kind of taking over and I can feel her sadness, but at the same time, I'm holding my consciousness as the mother and as the father, as the one who's asking and as the one who's connecting with her, but also aware of her and her emotions. And so I can hold both parts at the same time. This is the same thing that happens when we do subpersonality work, right? So I'm holding both parts, me, the one here currently, the adult, the parent, the one who's asking, and becoming aware of the child. So I see little Erika. She's sad and she doesn't want to give me her hand, okay? So then I will ask her, what is going on? Why are you sad? Okay, it's okay. It's okay to let it out. It's okay. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Okay, she's calming down. She needed to let that out. Can you tell me, little Erika, what's going on? I'm afraid. Okay. Thank you for sharing that with me. Why are you afraid? Why are you afraid, little Erika? It's okay, you can tell me. I'm afraid because I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid that I can't do everything that you want from me. I can't do it. And I'm scared. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. What do you think it is that I want from you? You want me to be perfect. And I can't be. And I'm scared. I feel so much pressure. I don't want to let you down. I understand. Is this how you felt growing up, little Erika? Yes. Your mom had very high expectations of you. Yes. And there's a lot going on now. I understand we're creating this business. We're shifting from private one-on-ones to group coaching. We have the seminar coming up. This podcast, there's a lot. There's a lot going on, and it's new and it's scary. Yes. I don't think I can do it. It's okay. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that you feel that I'm putting pressure on you, and I shouldn't be. But I know you're the one connected to my creativity and my connection and a lot of what I use for my business. So I can see how you would feel really pressured. And I know that you're a perfectionist. I know you've got a few sub personalities going that are the perfectionist and the inner critic and all of that to make sure that you don't lose love and approval and validation. And I understand that, little Erika, but I'm here for you now. I am here for you now. But you're not here for me. Why do you say that? Because you're not paying attention to me. You're not playing. You're not doing anything that I like. All you're doing is working. And you're worried about work. You don't want to play with me. You feel neglected. Yes. Because you felt neglected in your childhood when you were growing up. Yes. Okay. Thank you for sharing that with me. What would you like me to do with you? What would you like? I would like you to take me out to walk outside. I would like to go to the beach. I would like to write poetry. I would like to put music on and dance. I would like to play when you work. Okay? Thank you for sharing that with me. See that you're feeling better, lighter. Yes. Okay. Tell me, what else can I do for you? Or what else do you want? I want you to stop taking life so seriously. Life is a playground. You're supposed to have fun. You're taking it all too serious, and you're pushing me away, and you're putting all this pressure on me. And I want to be free. I want to play, and I want to laugh, and I want to love. Okay. Thank you, little Erika. Can I give you a hug? Yes. I love you so much. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I've been avoiding you. I'm so sorry that I've been neglecting you. I'm so sorry that I've been putting all this pressure on you and not making time for you. I love you so much, and you're the most important thing in my life. And if you don't feel that for me all the time, I'm sorry. I want to be a safe place for you, little Erika. You can trust me. You can confide in me. And don't be afraid to come and talk to me. You don't need to avoid talking to me. Say, hey, come, knock on my consciousness. Say, hey, I need to talk to you. Okay, you don't want to do that. You want me to check in on you more. Okay, I will check in on you more. Would you like me to check in with you every day? Yes. Okay. I will check in with you every day. I love you. I love you. Do you have a message for me before we go? I'm proud of you. Thank you, little Erika. I'm proud of you. I love you. I love you. Bye for now. Where would you like to go? To the park where you grew up, or in the house where you grew up? Okay, I'll take you there. And you can look for caterpillars underneath the slide like you used to. Okay. I love you. I'll be here later for you, okay? Okay. Bye. Bye. Whoa. I was not expecting that. Let me go get some tissue paper. So let me pause this for a second. So that was a surprise. I didn't think that was going to happen, but I kept recording because I want you to see what it looks like as it's happening. In the seminar that I do, Higher Self Mastery, when we do inner child healing work, we do this with someone as well, where like I will speak to their inner child and have their inner child speak, just like mine was speaking. And so, although no one was asking me the question, as a facilitator, I'm able to do both so that I can show you what it looks like. So for me, I was the facilitator, I was the child, and I was the adult, right? And so this is how important this is because, see, I didn't know that. But like, for example, today with this episode, I felt like first recording it, I felt off. Something feels off. And in my my workout earlier this morning, after we do weights and stuff in the class, we lay down to stretch. And there's this kind of soft piano-like music that sounds like a lullaby. And the minute that came on and I was laying down on the floor, I started to cry, not dramatically, but like just some tears started to come down from my face. And, I just, whatever, I just pushed it away and continued on. But it goes to show that there's something, right? There's like something going on. And so I didn't know that this was going to come up the way it came up, but I wanted you to see what it really looks like. And so this is why inner child healing work is so important. Okay. I connected with little Erika and I received that information, right? I suggest the same for you. So when you can, okay, open up your heart, come into your heart, get out of your head, come into your heart. And like I said, remember yourself as a child. Remember yourself, like get a clear image, perhaps of a photo or a video you've seen of yourself before. And once that image becomes clear and you can see what the child is wearing and you can see their silhouette and you can see their facial features, start to notice their body language. And then once you notice their body language, talk to them about, like, if they're really happy, like tell them like, oh, I see you're so joyful. Are you happy to see me? How are you? Can you tell me more about why you're so happy? Or if they're angry, or if they're disconnected, or if they're distant, or if they're sad, or if they're crying. Become very curious. But it's important to be safe. You have to create an environment of safety within you. You have to hold the space for the child. And so you have to hold the part of you that is the logic, that is the conscious mind, the rational mind, the adult, the parent to that child, and the delicacy, the innocence, the imagination, the creativity, the sensitivity, the play, the emotion that is the child. And so you have to hold both aspects of yourself at the same time. And this is so healing. And the idea is that eventually, the child will show you more and more the wounds that need your attention, right? And the more that you connect to the child, the more things will come up until things don't come up anymore. And the child feels safe with you and they're happy. And the key to inner child healing, like, I paid a lot of money to do certifications in inner child healing, and I'm going to give you the key that you don't have to pay thousands of dollars for. Okay. The key is you need to become the mother. You need to become the father, the divine masculine, the divine feminine in one to the child. You have to reparent the child. And I have a whole 4-step system on inner child healing and becoming the parent. If you come to Higher Self Mastery, or if you join the Mastery membership, also inside the membership, we go over this process. And we really heal the core wounds. We heal the root. We pluck the roots out. Okay? And it's so healing. It's the most sacred work that you can ever do. And so coming back to this client, that his wife was leaving him for another man, when I was talking to him, he was very like, no, because she lies and she, she's cheated on me before. This is like the 4th time that she does this. They were together many years. And so I had him close his eyes and I, created the space for his inner child to come through. And this is the first time he ever connected to his inner child. But I knew to immediately take him there. because I'm very intuitive. You guys know that I channel, I'm very connected. So that's what makes working with me so powerful, because I just kind of get this divine insight of where to take the client. And so I immediately took him to the inner child. And the minute that he saw the inner child in his mind's eye, he started to cry and cry and cry, very similar to what I just did. But it was like the floodgates had opened, because he was never even aware that he had an inner child within him. And so he cried and cried and cried. And I asked him, how does your inner child, how does little, we'll call him Matthew, how does little Matthew feel about your wife? And he can hear that the child was saying that he didn't like her. The inner child didn't like his wife. And so I asked, and does little Matthew want you to be with your wife? No. Does he want you calling and texting her? No. He feels very, very unsafe with her. And so this is very important. This is very important information, because your child comes first. There's nothing more important than you. There's nothing more important than your safety, than your well-being. And part of this work, what makes this work so important, is loving yourself, learning to love yourself, learning to love the child within you. Like becoming that person, that parent that creates safety, that gives unconditional love to the child. That's the healing. That's the medicine. And so the child was telling him, I don't want you to be with her. I don't want you to contact her. I don't love her. I don't like her. I don't want her. I don't feel safe with her. And he was pushing down and resisting and rejecting that part of himself, the child. And so the child was hiding from him at first and pushing him away because he didn't feel safe with him, because he was choosing his wife over the child. And so this session was really powerful, because he realized that there was a subpersonality, the codependent one, that was very attached to his wife and enabling very toxic behavior. And it was a very toxic, dysfunctional pattern. And what it was another aspect of himself that was trying to prove to himself that he was worthy of love by convincing his wife to choose him. And this was all occurring because the deeper need that was going on, that was being masked, was that Matthew himself was not choosing the child, choosing himself. And so the medicine here that was really required, what he really wanted on a much deeper level, was for him to choose himself and to put himself first. And really that was the invitation from the soul level. On the soul level, the invitation, anytime you are in relationship to someone who has these narcissistic type of imprint. I don't like to use the word narcissist because it's very dehumanizing. A narcissist is simply someone who was so abused or neglected in their childhood that they had to go within themselves and become completely absorbed with self to feel safe and to survive. And so I don't judge the narcissist. And in truth, the narcissist and the codependent are both covert narcissists and codependents, because they change roles. The victim and the perpetrator change roles. Okay. And so it's a very like dysfunctional cycle that the soul will seek to break. And so the purpose of this kind of relationship, or of any narcissistic type person in your life, is always, it always shows up in your life for one reason and one reason only. And that's to train you into your power. And to train you into your power is the same thing as to love yourself, to honor yourself, to speak your truth, to put yourself first, to not allow yourself to be abused, to be mistreated, to not be valued. And it's also having the ability to heal yourself. That's coming into your power when you know who you are and you use everything happening in the reality, all the phenomena occurring in the reality, you use it all for healing. You don't point the finger. You don't try to make anyone a perpetrator. You understand that on a much deeper level, everything is perfect and everything is orchestrated perfectly. And it's all working together for your good, to help you to heal and to help you come into your power and to help you remember who you really are. And so through that session, he was able to realize that it was time to move on. Just one session. And his work was to continue his inner child healing process and to put the child first, which he was never put first in his childhood. His mother neglected him and he was abused. And so it was now his job, his priority, to provide the child what he never got, to really love him and create this environment of safety for the child, and to put the child first. Not to have this woman, his wife, put him first, but to have Matthew himself put himself first. And until we put ourselves first, we'll get mad and hurt by everyone who doesn't put us first. But when my mother, for example, decided to choose her husband over me, to believe her husband over me when I confessed to her and came to her about, his voyeuristic tendencies and him spying on me and touching me inappropriately and watching me undress and all of that. When she chose him, to believe him and choose him and side with him over me, I wrote on my mirrors, I choose me. And this is when I first started doing inner child healing work. My medicine was not for my mother to choose me. For me to become my own mother and for me to choose me. For me to choose the little girl inside of me. Ultimately, choosing myself. And I had to do this work where my inner child would tell me, I don't feel safe talking to mom. I don't want to talk to mom. And so I had to stop having communication with my mother, which to this day, I still don't have communication with my mother because it's what my inner child needs. And I'm her mother now. And so the amount of guilt that I felt, because me and my mom had this very toxic relationship, this victim rescuer dynamic where, I was responsible for her happiness. And if, like, let's say I was going to, let's say I told her I would call her tomorrow and I wasn't able to call her tomorrow, she would, the next time I would talk to her, she would be like, oh, you see, you didn't call me. And so, I just think it's best for us not to talk anymore. And so I would like kind of laugh about it, like, oh, you're divorcing me again, or you're breaking up with me again. But that was like the dynamic with my mom. It was just like that. It was like her breaking up with me all the time if I didn't meet her expectations, which you can see how when I connected to my inner child just now and I broke down, she's still carrying the pain of that perfectionism and not meeting expectations, and the fear of, if she doesn't meet my expectations, then I'm going to stop loving her. I'm going to push her away, because you can see that that's what happened with me and my mother. But the medicine is not in my mother doing that for me. My mother calling me and being like, hey, I love you so much. I realize how much I love you and how much I want to honor you and how I want to work on our relationship. No, that's not the medicine. Because my mom is a sovereign being and she's on her own journey. She's on her own path, and I have to respect where she is on a soul level and honor her path. It's not personal. Like, I love my mom. I appreciate my mom. Because were it not for all of the experiences that I have gone through, including all the trauma with my mother and this codependent relationship and this enmeshment, I mean, it's what created the empath in me. It's what created the healer in me. It's what has positioned me to do what I do, to teach the way I teach, to be the facilitator that I am, the coach that I am. And so I'm forever grateful. And actually, on a much bigger level, like in the much grander scheme of things, I think that my mom took one for the team, like on a soul level, so that she can catapult me to my divine destiny to do this. And it's so intricate because it's also like generationally, right? Like the bloodline, like this discord between mother and daughter is like as back as the bloodline goes. It's very common, just like the child not having the father. I also don't have a father. So this is very common. And I know that I chose this on a soul level because I'm here to heal this within my bloodline. I am the one breaking generational curses. I am the one starting generational blessings. It ends with me and it starts with me. And I believe that I chose collective wounds of abandonment, of sexual abuse, of addiction, of body image dysmorphic disorder, of like all these collective wounds, because they're so imprinted in the collective consciousness that I chose on a soul level each one of these experiences, each one of these traumas to heal from, so that I can teach others to do the same. And me healing it within myself heals it within the collective. And so it's all perfect. I'm not sitting here being a victim. It's all perfect. But I want you to understand that it's not just black and white. It's very deep. Okay. But the most important work that you can ever do, it's not even the service that you provide to the planet. The most important work you can ever do is to heal thyself and to know thyself. And until you truly love yourself and all the aspects of you and all the subpersonalities and all of your shadows and the inner child and all the wounded aspects of the inner child, until you can hold space for all of you, all the parts of you, and love them all unconditionally, and become the mother to yourself, the father to yourself, and truly come into your power and truly love yourself. Until you do, you'll be loving all the wrong people for all the wrong reasons. And it's not even love. It's attachment and it's codependency. It is the child trying to prove to itself that it is worthy of love by gaining this approval and validation and so-called love from others. When you know who you are, and you know your value, and you love yourself, and you've got you don't need anything from anyone. You don't need anything from anyone. And that is higher self mastery. I hope to see you inside the Higher Self Mastery membership. It launches August 1st. Monthly group coaching, weekly Q&A sessions. I'm going to teach a mastery class every month. I'm going to hold space for you and walk you through this process every month. I hope to see you inside the Mastery membership. God bless you.